What's up, hackers? Welcome to Attack on Tuesday. My name is Taggart, and tonight we are continuing our study of Active Directory by way of Try Hack Me rooms. There were a number of these Active Directory skills rooms that were released on Try Hack Me, and Active Directory is complicated enough that going through the basics is always a good idea. Husky, good to see you, friend. Welcome, everybody. JQ is what's up. Prax and I were having some good times with JQ a little bit earlier in the day. My favorite, least favorite tool. I love JQ, and I hate its syntax. But we're not going to be doing, unless we do something really strange. We won't be doing any JQ tonight. We will, in fact, be doing, as Ginger Root calls it, and as John Strand calls it, the 30-year CTF, also known as Active Directory. So this is the second room in the series. We did Breaching AD a couple of weeks ago, and now we're going to be doing Enumerating Active Directory. So we're in, right? We have credentials, and now that we have a foothold inside of the domain, how can we move around? How can we find ways to escalate our privileges? What's around us? How do we send out our feelers into the dark night of the domain, into the dark forest, I really should say, and discover what's out there? That's what this room is all about, so that's what we're going to do. If you're interested in playing along at home, the room is linked here. It's called AD Enumeration. Now, it's one of these that has its own network, so you're going to have to go get that VPN connection file from Try Hack Me. Join the room, and then you can get it from the access list. It's called AD Enumeration. And then once you're connected, you're going to have to configure your DNS correctly to work with the domain controller inside the network. So just a refresher in case you're not familiar with how to do that. I found the easiest way to do it, honestly, is if you can edit your connections up here, then go ahead and just add a DNS server in your wired connection. I don't know why, but I can't do that, so I have found it's easiest for me to just use nmtui. If I do sudo nmtui, then I can edit this connection and add the DNS server right here. And then having done so, just restart Network Manager with a little sudo systemctl restart Network Manager. And you can confirm that everything's looking good if you can do an ns lookup or a dig and get something that looks a little bit like this. That the answering server for thmdc.za.tryhackme.com is 10.200. Whatever your thing is. Okay, so we're set up here and we're ready to get going. And one of the cool things is to simulate having gained a foothold. The first thing that it asks you to do is go to distributor.za.tryhackme.com/creds, and it's going to give you a set of randomized credentials. So that's pretty slick. And I've gone ahead and grabbed these already and saved these to a file called creds.txt that we can refer to if necessary. And in fact, the first thing it's going to ask us to do is hit up a jump box. And so we're going to try to SSH into that thing and confirm that we can do it. So we're going to SSH. That's kind of a weird way to do it. SSH za.tryhackme. Oh no, it was just because the whole domain is .com slash or backslash Natasha.howells at thmjump1.za.tryhackme.com. Okay. Donald 2005. And with any luck, we should get an SSH connection. And we do. Hooray. We do. So this is our initial shell, I guess. We have a medium. We have a medium integrity shell, and we do not appear to be a member of an administrative group on this system. So low privileges, a good starting point. All right, very good. We have completed this beginning component. So the first thing they want us to do is credential injection. God, Okay, before jumping into 80 objects and enumeration, let's first talk about credential injection methods. Credentials are often found without compromising a domain-joined machine. Specific enumeration techniques may require a particular setup. Oh, good, an Art of War quote. My favorite. Here, stop quoting Sun Tzu. Your thing probably wasn't what he was talking about. Trizbas, thank you so much for the follow. Push-ups. I did my push-ups. First day I could actually do push-ups after I had a super spinatus tear that I had to be really careful of for a couple of weeks, but today was the first day I could actually do push-ups again. So yeah, I've done my push-ups, Ginge. Yeah. People overuse Sun Tzu. And he wasn't talking about your thing. He wasn't talking about your business. He wasn't talking about your pen test. Okay? He was talking about obliterating an enemy in the most absolute way possible. And that's really not what you're doing, probably. Also, stop reading the 48 Laws of Power while you're at it, and also Machiavelli's Il Principe. Just stop. Just stop it. Just stop it. They're not good guides for how to live a good life. Okay, anyway, rather than going off on misinterpreted texts by MBAs, let's actually get this this test underway. You can get incredibly far doing AD enumeration from a Kali machine. Yeah. Oh, okay, so we're going to do run as explained. So I guess the first thing I want to do is see who else is on here. We'll do a net user. I mean, we are domain joined. So we'll do net user / domain. See what's up. Oh my. That's unhelpful. THM Vagrant. Ah. Hey, this is actually why I don't use Vagrant stuff in my lab. Because I don't want this stuff kicking around. Can I just log in as Vagrant? I gotta try, right? Oh, they actually changed the default Vagrant password. Okay, good. Well, that's something. Hey, Sar. Well, happy 9 months. It's been a fun 9 months, hasn't it? I can't believe it's only been 9 months, honestly. We've been through so much together. You've endured me doing poorly at so many binary exploitation challenges. Before we can list sysvol, we need to figure out DNS. Okay, so they're talking about enumerating sysvol. And okay. So here's a thing. There's another tool we should use for this. Or that we can. I won't say should. There's another tool we can use for this. That's a little bit easier than what we're doing here. What might that be? Especially if we don't want to run commands directly on the endpoint like so. Nobody? Ooh. Gotta make sure this is updated. The answer is, yeah, Ginge has it. Crack map exec. Absolutely. That's where you want to be. Man, this VPN does not like letting me out. All right, looks good. We'll do pipx install crack map exec. And that'll give us an updated version of CME. Crack map exec, if you're not familiar with it, is basically an Active Directory enumeration and exploitation multi-tool. It is free and open source. However, if you're interested in supporting it, it's what's known as sponsorware. If you're interested in supporting it, Porchetta Industries, the brainchild, like CME, of Marcello Salvati, also known as Bytebleeder, you can sponsor it and get early access to new features. And that is actually pretty cool if you use CME in a professional context, because there are new features coming out for it all the time. And definitely worth your consideration. All right, once CME is installed here, we'll go ahead and run it against... We'll run it against the domain controller, but we'll also run it against this jump box. Hey, Technique. Good to see you. Oh, really? Yeah, hold on. Let's do a quick bump for that then. Marcello's done enough for me. I feel like, yeah, Porchetta Industries is a syndicate. I don't really know what the right name is of sponsorware. So you go to tools, right? There's CME, PyPyCats. So ScaleSex stuff is in here as well. Silent Trinity, which is Marcello's little C2 framework. Witness Me, which I actually use all the time. So, yes, you can go sponsor on GitHub, but I think the way that they want you to do it is here. So basically, for $10 a month, you'll get access to exclusive updates, contents, and perks for 6 months. Yeah. Exactly. Well, welcome, Raiders. Perfect timing, as we were just talking about how to sponsor Porchetta Industries, which is the group that creates Crack Map Exec and a bunch of other cool tools. And so these are all free tools. You can just use them for free. But if you want to support the development of them, you can actually sponsor them through this link. And if you do so, guess what? You get early access to new features. And it's highly worth your consideration, I would say. Especially if you use these tools like Crack Map Exec on a regular basis. Al, how was your stream, my friend? Let's make sure this is in the right place. Yeah, we're doing some... These are banned. That's fine. Yeah. So we're going to do Crack Map Exec SMB, and we're going to do it against... That's an old one. Let's do... okay. We'll do it against za.tryhackme.com, and we'll do Natasha Howells as the user. And we'll do Donald 2005 as our... Just to see what we have here. All right, so we're authenticating. Should look good here. Oh, okay, so this is a thing. No section bloodhounds. So this is something, this is an error with crackmap exec I've run into, and there is a fix for it. Basically, there's like a, what is it, .cme? Yeah. Remove the cme.conf. No, it's not comment out bloodhound in this case. So you actually remove the cme.conf, and then it makes a new configuration file that does what you need it to do. While that's running, Kevin Dongcheng, thank you so much. Sandor, thank you so much for the subscription. 6 months. Incredible. Yaldstagander, thanks for the follow. Bazmeister and No Limit Fitness. Ah, see? We're authenticating successfully. All good. And as you can see, we can read IPC, net logon, and sysvol. Okay, so that's the kind of stuff. If we wanted to go check out sysvol, we can know now that we can read it with these credentials. We do not have read to admin. We don't have write anywhere. So that's kind of like my favorite first passes with crackmap exec. In terms of room, we are doing the AD enumeration room, the hangup, which is the second in the kind of new series of Active Directory rooms, training rooms from TryHackMe. I will probably not do them exactly the way that they want me to. I've come up with sort of my own ways of hopping around Windows networks, but it's always good to review the basics. So using injected credentials, right? The first question is, what native Windows binary allows us to inject credentials legitimately into memory? The answer is runAs.exe, I think. Yes. What parameter option of the runAs binary will ensure that the injected credentials are used for all network connections? The answer is /net only. What network folder on a domain controller is accessible by any authenticated AD account and stores GPO information? Sysvol. When performing dir, what type of authentication is performed by default? What are we looking for here? It's actually a good question. Is it network authentication? No. Kerberos. Yeah. Okay. Enumeration through the management console. Ah. So we're going to explore our first enumeration method, which is the only method that makes use of a GUI. So we're going to RDP into this thing. They want us, they're probably going to want us to use our desktop, but I do not like it. I like Romina. So we're going to use that. We're going to do, what is it? thmgmp1.za.tryhackme.com. Very good. The username. The domain is za.tryhackme.com. The password is Donald2005, and the username is the thing I can't remember, Natasha Howells. Beautiful. There we go. All right, so what do they want us to do? They want us to add a feature. Okay. Day Train. That's a cool name. Thanks for the follow. Manage optional features. Add a feature. What are we adding? RSAT. No. Add a feature. I somehow don't see that as an option here. Oh, it's already been installed. Cool. Very good. Okay. In which case... we're going to add a snap in. And which one are we using? Do active... add all three Active Directory. I can do that. Okay. And I think they want us to go to domains and trust first. za.tryhackme.com. And change forest, yeah. And change forest, enter Zada, track me. Yeah. Okay. So we're just setting that up. Okay. Change forest. za.tryhackme.com. Now, what's going on in the background here, right, is that it's using our saved credentials, and it is authenticating to the domain controller to get this information. Under the hood, what protocol is making all this happen? Active Directory is an implementation of what? Know Nothing has it. Know Nothing knows something. LDAP. Yes. Lightweight Directory Access Protocol. Very good. And the hang-up is very precise, that it is using Kerberos for authentication to do so. Yes, absolutely. Kerberos for authentication on the bind, and then LDAP to query to get the information. At which point, we can then see the domain. New introduction. Oh, this is a cool feature. Yald, I am very sorry, but I would really appreciate a pronunciation guide for your name. I would like to get it right. You're very welcome. I'm glad you're here, and I want to make sure that I get your name right. Hello, service accounts. Yes. If I were just like doing this, the exact next thing I would start doing. Steak? Okay, I'll go with steak. You got it. Is start Kerberos is starting to see if I could Kerberos these accounts. Like right away. There's that great Terry Pratchett quote from The Fifth Element. If you show a clown a ladder and a bucket of water, he only knows one way to act. That's kind of how I am with service accounts. Maybe they're not Kerberoastable, but maybe they are. You know, service accounts, right? These are the things that you set up so that you don't have to log into stuff all the time. Which means maybe, just maybe, they have weak passwords too. That's less and less true every day, I would say. Organizations are getting better about it. But every so often, still get lucky. Oh, we want the advanced features for the Active Directory. Some vendors, though. Oh, boy. Yeah, that's true. All right, phenomenal. So we have everything set up the way that we want to. Now, what is it that they actually want us to do? They want us to look at the organizational unit. Yeah, so what do we have? We have ourselves admins. Ooh, we have tiered accounts. You love to see it. Oh, did we just get a flag? I think we just got a flag. So, tiered accounts. This is actually a really important concept. What you want to have in a well-structured Active Directory environment, right, is that not every account has the same level of privileges, obviously, but even amongst the privileged accounts, you want to have layers of access. So, for example, maybe your tier 2 accounts have local admin on workstations, right? Maybe your tier 1 accounts have the ability to have local admin and authentication at all on servers, right? And then your T0, those are your domain admins usually, right? And so they're hypersensitive. There are very few of them in the environment. As you can see, there's only one here, right? And if we go to users and domain admins, we should see that T0 account in members. Yeah, right? Administrator, of course, but then your T0 admins. CISO should have a DA account, right? Right to jail. No. No. Unless your CISO is also your domain administrator, like for real, because there's one person in the IT department, which is true in some places, then no, not so much. Technique says, this is my jam. I'm fighting this fight right now. It's going well. Did it in my last tour. It makes much more expensive for attackers to escalate. So, okay, so this is like account tiering, and it's super, super important. There's another aspect of this that Microsoft also recommends, which is called PAWS. PAWS, Privileged Access Workstations. And this is super hard to implement because no one likes doing it this way. But what it means basically is that literally only specific devices, like specific workstations, are able to run as domain admin, right? That you can only authenticate as DA to those machines. And if you can't get to those machines, oh well. So this works a little bit less well in the age of COVID, depending on your environment, what your remote structure looks like, but it is considered a best practice. Yeah, least privilege at network layer. I mean, I don't know if that counts really. Jump host on steroids. Yeah, it's almost like a gap host, really. Yeah, PAWS are hard to do. Although I have heard of some folks trying to pull PAWS off in a distributed environment, like a highly remote environment, by using, get this, so Azure Desktop, right? Okay, and then the Azure Desktop is the privileged access workstation, which they're managing with conditional access, and then that is what they can use to access a DA if they have a hybrid Active Directory domain between Azure AD and an on-prem. Totally wild, but you could do that. Yeah, so we're just going through this. Consulting. How many computer objects are part of the server's OU? So now we're just taking a test. Okay. How many computers? Well, what's in Unix? Nothing. Awesome. So 2. Interesting. Hybrid AD trusts on-prem forest. It can. Yeah, so if you're doing hybrid Active Directory, your on-prem is still technically your source of truth for most things. You can have entities that live in Azure AD, but they won't be able to do anything with on-prem, which would include your domain controller, right? So your on-prem DC is still your source of truth, and then you sync that to Azure AD with AD Connect. And so, yes, especially if you have either like a VPN loop in or doing something cool with ExpressRoute, where you're looping in your Azure network directly into your LAN, then yeah, you can definitely pull something off like that. I thought Pause used Red Forest. I think it's the other way around. I thought Red Forest was part of the Red Forest plan. But I could be wrong about that because, as I've said a million times, I am actually just a Linux system administrator that's pretending to know what I'm doing about Windows. How many computer art objects are part of the workstation OU? 1? Cool. All these users are sharing that one workstation? How many departments? Oh, I want to try to do the other thing I wanted to do before, just in case I can pull it off. To use this other tool, JExplorer. It doesn't always work, but if you can, of course that happened. Natasha Howell's password 2005. If you can make this happen, it's pretty interesting. So za.tryhackme.com. User and password. The base DN should be DC equals za. DC equals tryhackme. DC equals com. Welcome to LDAP syntax. And then the user should just be Natasha.Howells. And then the password should be Donald 2005, if I have this right. But maybe not. I don't know if it's going to let me connect over LDAP. Anyway. Damn. Accept security context error. Will you let me do this on 636? SSL user and password. Then it was a simple bind failed. Okay, so 389. Try it on SSL. That almost certainly will not work. Okay, so I actually had it closer before. But this might not have the... It should have bind privileges because we just connected with it. What I'm trying to do, JExplorer, is a Linux-based LDAP browser, right? So you can use it for multiple different LDAP entities. Okay, let me just real quick look this up because now I'm curious. What is it that I am doing wrong? Open LDAP DSML connection host. Explorer. Try Active Directory. Quotes. CN equals users, DC equals domain 1. Oh, okay. That may be... Find this. Oh, do I need the I need the user, I need the full distinguished name. That's what it is. Okay, so to give you an idea, yeah. So I'm in Natasha Howells, right? And nope. Okay. So it's like CN equals Natasha.house. It just in case you wanted to do this. It's kind of cool to know how to do it. So it should be CN equals Natasha.howells. OU equals, because we're working our way back. So OU equals human resources. Forget it. We'll do it another time. This is so finicky. The distinguished name equals ZA, since that's the distinguished name, and DC is the domain context. No, it's not. The whole domain is separated. Like, every part of the domain is separated by a separate DC domain context. So, like, if you had, like, ad.evilcorp.com, it would be DC equals... com DC equals evil corp, DC equals my. But actually, I had that backwards, right? So DC equals whatever. I don't want to waste time on this. But I will say this. If you find on Shodan or some other web scanner, if you find anything that is talking to you on port 389, you can sometimes find LDAP servers that will connect to you anonymously. And if that's true for your target that you're authorized to test, you can use JExplorer to connect to it. And it's also always worth trying. Every once in a while, you'll find LDAP servers that'll give up information for anonymous access. It's pretty rare. Here's where you'll find it. You'll find it in Linux networks, right? So you'll find like open LDAP servers are more prone to doing this than Active Directory. Black Sense, thank you for the follow. But you'll find those every once in a while, especially if you have like academic labs that are Linux heavy, but they have to deal with Active Directory one way or another. Very often you'll find these kind of ad hoc LDAP implementations someplace that you can get to talk to you. Okay, let me open this up and get the description, because that's obviously a flag for something. How many admin tiers? The answer is 3. How many OUs? I didn't get that one. Go to groups. Looks like 6. Departments, even though the others are OUs. There's just one. Oh no, it's in people. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, by the way, okay, this isn't like a technical thing. This is just sort of a reasoning thing. If I didn't want to go after my or if I couldn't go after my DAs right away, which of these should I go after first? This is going to separate the pen testers from the CTF players. GA. I meant of these departments here. Consulting, engineering, finance, human resources, IT, marketing, and sales. Can I zoom in? It's a good question. Hangup says IT. Dark Elder says HR. The answer is absolutely finance. And let me tell you why. The finance folks, it's finance. And let me tell you why. The finance folks are reliably gonna have access to the most valuable data and have the worst security hygiene. If your job is not to get domain admin, if your job is to demonstrate risk, you go after these first. Because it's like, hey, I just got your payroll. I just got your user's social security numbers. Okay? I just got your bank account numbers. That's where you go. And then if you need to elevate, you can go other places. But if I'm looking for, in these groups, if I'm looking for things that will cause damage to the organization, yeah, finance and HR. For me, it's finance just because historically when I've been working, and by the way, I like business office folks. They save my bacon a lot of times. But they live their life in Excel, right? And they often will have to use older technologies for one reason or another. I bet you it wouldn't be that crazy to find business offices that still have like a Windows 7 machine someplace, because they have to communicate with a bank that uses some weird old software. Happens more than you might imagine. So yeah, if you are thinking, oh, macros, definitely, yeah. So if you're thinking about, this is where CTF and real testing kind of part ways, right? You're actually trying to demonstrate risk. You're not trying to capture domain admin all the time. If you can achieve your goals in the organization without taking over the whole domain, do it. You know what I mean? Like, your job is to demonstrate risk. And if a user or if an attacker doesn't have to, do the full Monty in order to make that happen, great, neither do you. Now, should you eventually go do it if you can? Yeah, because you're doing a comprehensive review. But, and Husky and I were talking about this a little bit the other day. The red team's job is not to beat the blue team. And it's definitely not to beat up on system administrators. The red team's job is to emulate attackers. So if you're not doing what an attacker would do, you're not actually providing the value that you think you are from a test. You're providing a security audit, maybe, that's great. But especially like the red team, you are supposed to be emulating threats. I thought HR had the most PII, which could lead to more compromised accounts. Sin, it really depends on how the organization is set up. My guess is that the finance department, I don't know. My experience is that the finance department is going to be a little bit messier than HR because the HR folks have had to have training in certain kinds of compliance that maybe your accounts receivable accountant hasn't. You know what I mean? Or you're the CPA that's there as a temp, maybe hasn't had that training, but your HR staff has. So HR is good, but I also think that in terms of squishy targets, finance for me is where I'd go first. And yeah, let's foot stomp Husky's point. YOLO red teaming feels really cool for the red team, and that's about it. That's right. Yeah, this is funny because like we just kicked off on this conversation off this OU folder, right? But this is where it really becomes the case that your job is a human job. It's not just technical, right? Because you're attacking the weaknesses in the organization. Payroll, books and records, accounts payable, accounts receivable, CRM. Yup. Exactly. Oh, that's another huge point from Husky, right? So yes, you have to emulate the threats and meet your blue team at their level to be a successful red teamer. If the security architecture of your client is just getting built out, right? And you drop like 0 days, don't burn 0 days on tests, but like, you get what I mean? Like if you're pulling out all the tricks out of your bag just to stunt on the blue team that's definitely not ready to do it, you're not helping them. And I don't think you're making yourself look good, honestly. Enumeration through the command prompt. If the user is only part of a small number of AD groups. Oh yeah, we're just doing like net user. Net user. Natasha.howls. So this is the user that we've already compromised, right? So if we do net user / domain, it'll tell us a little bit about this person and what their whole deal is. Passwords never expire. Ooh, okay. Quick test. Passwords never expiring. Good idea, bad idea. Okay, and they're part of an HR share RW, which we're going to go find. So we have a good idea from Dark Elder. MC25 says sounds bad. Chad B. Noob says good idea if it's a good password. What's the complexity requirements? Depends. If huge with MFA, maybe okay. Good idea for me because I build ranges for training with password expiring. There's a wrench in the whole thing. Right. Okay, and now what is the NIST 800-53 recommendation? Yeah, reset password after assumed breach. That's correct, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about password expiry. Yeah, that's right. NIST 853 says don't change it unless breach. It also says make it long and strong. But that is correct. Because when you make people rotate their passwords every 90 days, what do you get? If you have people changing passwords every 90 days, what do you get? You get winter 2022. That's right. Or summer 2022 now. That's right. So you can people will get lazy and their passwords will become guessable. I mean, you'll get post-its either way. But yeah, the problem with rotating passwords is that it turns out that in the long run it weakens any given password. Everyone's these are good. Oh, you know what? I haven't had a chance to talk about this because but I've actually used it with some success recently. Is this right? BWFuzzRS? Yeah. This was a little tool I put together. It's actually kind of neat. This is a password mutator. So basically you give it a word list and then it has a set of rules that you can give it. And it has a release. But basically, you give it rules like in JSON format, like append and whatever you want to append to it, like an exclamation point or prepend, and then create uppercase and lowercase versions, insert or append random digits. And so if you give it these 3 passwords, this is what it will produce for you. So yeah, it's kind of like the one rule to rule them all for Hashcat, but this is for creating fuzzing lists. And actually, you could get huge hits with this if you have a good starting list. So if you start with like a list from Cool or something like that, and pull this in, you can get really solid guesses if you are clever about your mutation rules. Give it a shot and see what you think. To give you an idea, this, if you give it, and you can iterate on them too. So this with 1 pass will produce these. If you do 3 iterations, you'll get 1,500 passwords. Okay. Back to what we're doing. So this person's in the HR share group, which is of interest to us. Now, they've given us a IS server, THMDT, THM jump 1. I'm curious where that share is. They're leaving enumeration through Bloodhound until the very end, but I think that I would like to get that going. So we're going to do that. Sudo systemctl, or sudo neo4j status. Let's make sure neo4j is up and running. Oh, okay. Sudo apt install y neo4j. Let's get that. And also, we're going to go get bloodhound-py, and we're going to do it better than Al. That wasn't super fair. Sorry. I'll never forget that one day where he was trying everything possible to get Bloodhound running. And the way we're going to do it a little bit more facilely is that we're not going to do anything tricky. Or we're not going to do anything native. We're going to do everything in Docker with Bloodhound PY. I think there might just be a Bloodhound. Yeah, Bansec. This is the one. So this Docker container is the one you want. And so with Bloodhound, in case you're not familiar with Bloodhound, what Bloodhound does is it's an LDAP query engine, but what it produces is a graph database of information about the domain that you can then use with a tool called Bloodhound we use with its graphical tool to query and explore a domain looking for ways to potentially attack it. Super, super handy. And as much as it is a red team tool, it is definitely also something the blue team should be running. Right? The blue team or the purple team should be running Bloodhound maybe quarterly to look for misconfigurations in the domain, and then working with your ops team, your accounts team, your IAM team, whatever, to remediate those things. You can be looking for weak passwords, or not weak, but you can old passwords. You can be looking for potential Kerber roastable accounts. That's right. I'm a huge believer in the best defense being a good offense, and my day job is in fact that. My day job involves threat emulation inside of a blue team, so I am a purple teamer, and we have better defense because I'm velociraptoring, right, I am testing the fences to make sure that all of the walls are electrified. So this Docker image is going to be the collector for this. This is going to run the LDAP queries. So we're going to grab this. With Docker image pull. Are you hiring? I would love to be on a purple team. We are not hiring for that right now, fortunately. Husky, you're going to get timed out. More like the fart of war. Okay, as that's coming down, I guess I also need to go get the Bloodhound Git repo. Or release, I should say. Releases link is right there. I don't know why I didn't click on it. So in order to get Bloodhound up and running on your machine, if you've never done this before, right, so you get the collector going. Now, you can run the C# or the PowerShell version of the collector called Sharphound on a compromised Windows host. Don't do that if you can avoid it, because you're gonna get caught. Most EDR knows what's up with that, and Windows Defender most certainly does. So you can run these LDAP queries off of a Bastion host, or like if you have a network connection someplace else, do that, right? If you can avoid it at all. That's right. All right, we want the Linux, Linux x64. I'll take it. Okay, so we need the collector. We need this. What we're downloading right now is going to be the visualization and querying engine. And the visualization and querying engine requires the Neo4j database, which we've already installed. And we'll get that going in just a second as well. So there are kind of a lot of moving parts to this, but you kind of like, you set it up once and then you're able to use it again and again and again. I would also say that if you want to do this in a purple teamy kind of context, there we go. Bloodhound Linux x64. I'm just call that Bloodhound. And I don't feel like doing anything more in the GUI, so we're gonna. Oops. Okay, down here we're gonna MV downloads Bloodhound to here. Okay. Okay, so we have the image and Neo4j. Sudo Neo4j start. This is going to start the Neo4j database. And we need to get at it at localhost 7474. Eventually. I hope. There may be a short delay until the server is ready. All right, well, we'll just keep reloading until it is. Because we need that up in order for us to use it. Now, the Bloodhound collector California is asking, are you going to run the Docker container on the target machine? No, we're going to run it on the Kali machine. The reason we're using the Docker container is because I have had some pretty weird issues with the GitHub version of Bloodhound-py. It has like a weird RC4 problem. It doesn't, there's some sort of crypto library that updated in Python that does not work the way that you'd expect. But the Docker container works fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to run the Docker container, but we're going to mount inside of it the directory for where we're holding stuff for this Try Hack Me room. So it'll run the collectors, and it'll create the JSON files that it collects, at which point then we'll have those files available to us to load into Bloodhound on our Kali box. Is the basic idea. Yeah. Why is that happening? Nope. We may also have to run Neo4j in a Docker container, which is fine. Why not grab Bloodhound right from the Kali repo? Neither one of them worked for me, Ginge. I think there's a discrepancy between Bloodhound and the Python version that's getting shipped now. It's not running. No, nothing. Sudo neo4j. Yeah. Oh, good. Like, I know I have JDK 11. Freaking Java. Hold on. This isn't a Bloodhound problem. This is a Java problem. Look at that. Open JDK 11. All right. So screw this. We're just going to do docker image pull neo4j. And we'll run neo4j in the container, and we'll run the Bloodhound collector in there as well. That is fine by me. Now, what else are we supposed to be doing? Apart from the domain usage group, what other group is Aaron Harris? Oh, right, because I wanted to do all this with Bloodhound, because it's going to be, like, easier to do. Is the guest account active? Let's get Bloodhound on a Docker Compose file and call it a day. I love that idea. I surely do. So let's vim docker compose.yaml and make ourselves one of these. Version 3.9. Services. Neo4j. Image, Neo4j, latest. Ports. What is it? 2474? 7474. And 7687. $74.74 and $76.87. $76.87. Volume. Know if I have that totally right. Neo J data / data. Yeah, okay. And then we're gonna do Bloodhound. Image, bansec / Bloodhound. Latest. It doesn't need any ports. But I'm wondering if we can do this with Docker Compose, actually. The reason being, I don't know if Bloodhound's Docker file has like an entry point that'll run it. I don't need to link it to the Neo4j container. Here's why. It doesn't have to do anything with Neo4j. It just produces files. California. I have to do something with Neo4j later, but that's on me. Yeah. Oh, this is the wrong thing. Although, actually, this will just work, won't it? No, Bloodhound. I want Bloodhound PY, though. This is the wrong thing. Sorry, folks. Bear with me. We'll get it. It won't take long. Foxit Bloodhound. This is the one I want. This is the collector I want. So for those of you who are interested. And in fact, I think they even have, yeah. Oh, that's why. Because they have a Docker image. Perfect. So what we'll do is get clone. Yeah, that has the Neo4j embedded, and that's not actually what I want. That's right, record. And hey, Owen. Yeah, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna build it from Bloodhound PY. And we'll call it Bloodhound PY. Build, right? We'll still call it Bloodhound PY. And then we give it the build. And the context is going to be home scripts / bloodhound.py. And there's a Docker file right in there for us. So that's going to build it for us. How handy is that? But I have to check to see if I can do this. Because if not, we'll need to figure something else out. The problem is that I don't think I can run it interactive from a Docker Compose file. Can I download this Docker Compose somehow later? If we get it working the way that we want, I will put in a git gist or something. But I don't think... Yeah, I don't think you can do interactive from Docker Compose, so this ain't gonna work. However, it'll just stop, California. The problem is that Docker exec would only work if it were running, but it's not gonna be running. So here's the deal. We're gonna try Docker Compose up. What the? Sudo apt update Docker Compose plugin. It's got to be there. So, Ginge, the container, if I try to start it again, it will stop again because it doesn't have an entry point that's interactive. I'd have to start it with IT. I don't think you can do that. You can just run it with IT. So instead, what we're gonna do, we're gonna do Docker Compose up D. Neo4j is started. Docker container ls. Wunderbar. Now. So that's different. I wonder if it's not up yet. No, it should be... No, there it goes. It just took a second to start up. Default should be Neo4j and Neo4j. Okay. We'll set it to something else. All right. We have Neo4j running thanks to the power of Docker. I hope. Good. Now that we have that, we actually can go over to Bloodhound. And fire it up. Now, Bloodhound is going to use Bolt localhost 7687, and I think that's what you were thinking about, Husky. All right, and that worked. So we now have an empty Bloodhound visualizer waiting for data. And guess what? Now there's a dark mode. Thank you. All right. Now that this is up and running, we can finally actually do the Bloodhound collection with the data, with the credentials that we have. And here's how we do that. We're gonna do. We're gonna cd into scripts and bloodhound.py. right? And you can see that there is a Docker file. Neo4j doesn't need to be persistent. Not for our purposes, although we actually mounted a local folder for data storage so that it can be. Was how we did that. Because we did a volume in our Docker Compose. But let's cat this Docker file out. That's a bunch of stuff. But the important thing is that it's coming from Python 3.7. And friends, this is why I think Bloodhound PY is having so many troubles right now, is that this thing is designed around an implementation of a crypto library that had some changes as of, I think, Python 3.9, and we're on 3.10. We're about to be on 3.11. And so... Really? And so, running it in here actually just removes a lot of those problems. So what we're going to do is we're going to do docker image build t bloodhound.py, and we'll build it from this context. That will build the Docker container. Or Docker image, I should say. I should probably check the time on this box. How are we doing? 12 minutes left. So this is all about enumeration, right? We're just trying to find out what's here. And notice that we're talking about Active Directory enumeration, not network enumeration. Little bit of a different process. You got to multiply that time by .01 for the real remaining time. Yeah, don't I know it? Hey, California, I need to explain. Your questions are useful. They're good. And they're appreciated. Don't ever apologize on this channel for asking questions. I am a teacher by lifestyle and by former career. And so that's what this is all about. I really appreciate you asking those questions. 420 thank you so much for the follow. Clown Engineer, DudX, thank you for those follows. GoPro, good to see you, bud. Brackery, why does the internet default to LAMO? We've actually answered that question on this channel before, because there is in fact an answer to that question. Does anybody remember what the answer is? This is 100% a generation gap. Something RGB FF255. It's because the internet was designed to be printed out. Websites were designed to be accessed, sure. But then committed to paper. Don't forget. Who knows? What was Tim Berners-Lee's original intention with HTML? Little bit of history for you. And in large part, this was the purpose of the DARPANET as well. But certainly with HTML. Linking... The hang-up has it, sharing physics papers. Yep, it was for disseminating scientific research. I think it was particle physics at the time, right? Because Berners-Lee was at CERN. Okay, so we have a bloodhound.py image, so here's what we're going to do with that. We're going to go back to the enumerating AD folder. Docker image ls. Yeah, you have a gray beard. It's fairly obvious. Much respect, though. And you can see that we have a Bloodhound PY Docker image that we built. So what we're going to do is we're going to do Docker image, or yeah, Docker container run -it. And we'll do --rm because we won't need to keep it around after we use it. We're going to use... Oh, and we're going to mount a volume as well. So the volume we're going to mount is PWD. Now, somebody's going to freak out that I'm not using a $sign for the print working directory, but that's because I'm using the fish shell, not bash. I'm going to mount that to mnt/stuff. I don't really care what I call it. And then we're going to run bloodhound.py latest bin bash. Because again, it just needs an entry point. And now I am inside of the Docker container. I'll cd to mount stuff. And the reason I do that is because that's where I want to save my data. At this point, why did you go fish and not Z shell? Because it's better. I like fish better. I like the way that it handles history better. I like the way that it handles autocomplete better. I like the fact that you can literally configure your shell from a web interface. Do we need to do the web interface demo again? Check this out. Fish config. I love showing this trick. It'll even have you list the functions. Any of your variables. Bindings. Yeah. That's why I use fish. How are plugins for it? So there's an Oh My Fish, just like Oh My Z Shell. There's an Oh My Fish. Works great. I use it. You're looking at it right now. This is the theme Bob the Fish that I installed with OMF. The setup's on YouTube. The setup's... I've done this setup about 1 trillion times. It's all over the place. Is it POSIX compliant? Kind of. And actually, the latest version of Fish is POSIX compliant. It'll handle $signs and everything else like that just fine. But honestly, POSIX compliant is like... That's a Linux dork complaint, that it's not POSIX compliant. Who cares? All of your scripts are going to have bin bash in the shebang anyway. Why don't you make the shell that you use on a day-to-day basis, you know, more ergonomic than that? So, Bloodhound Python, you can see that we have that command. Let's just run -h for help. Okay, so obviously it's working just fine. Everything looks good here. We're going to run Bloodhound Python. And all we actually need is natasha.howells at za.tryhackme.com. And we can change up, we'll do -u. I mean, it's in packet, so I should be able to just do this. And then the collection method is going to be... That should be fine for what we're doing. Fine. Password. Okay, so once we have that, Donald 2005. And then that should just go to work. Could not find a domain controller. Did I get the... We'll give it the DC IP, although I shouldn't have to. That might be because the Docker DNS is somehow not picking up my network connection DNS, and that's fine. We could fix that. We'll just give it the DC 10.276.101. Yes. No, could not find a global catalog server. Oh, DC. Try hack me. What is it? Can I should be able to give it DC IP. 10.200.76.101. So I'm using Terminator, and yes, Tmux inside of it. Oh, I'll give it NS. It's actually not 0%. What is happening? Maybe it's because I'm trying to use in-packet syntax and it plainly doesn't want it. So the username, password, and the domain. So we'll give it the domain za.tryhackme.com. If I had actually just followed the instructions, it would have worked fine. So you can see now that by using the actual arguments as expected, rather than thinking, oh, it's in packet, they're all the same, it's working fine. And it's connecting to the LDAP server, and it's running a ton of queries. Defenders, be watching for this. You should be watching for spikes in LDAP traffic, right? For whatever network sensors you have that can do that. Code Husker, thank you for the follow. Wow, that was quick. Done in 41 seconds. Lovely. Now, we can upload data into Bloodhound. We'll go to THM, we'll go to enumerating AD, and look at all these JSON files that we have now. Open those up. In you go. Okay, let's go to find all domain admins. Hello. Welcome to Bloodhound. So we have domain admins at za.tryhackme.com. We know that this administrator is a member of, and we know that this T0 that we found before, when Bloodhound was data first try. Oh, I know. I've had the privilege of having to do this the wrong way a bunch of times for my day job, which is why it's looking so smooth now that we've gotten the Bloodhound Python stuff out of the way. And in fact, we can just close down this Docker container. We're done with that. No troubles at all. So now we can actually go back to this challenge and answer some questions, right? So it wants to know stuff like, apart from the domain users group, what other group is the Aaron Harris account a member of? So let's go look up Aaron Harris in Bloodhound. I want to show you how to use Bloodhound in like the way that people should use it, not just clicking on analysis. Aaron.Harris without the space. Hi there. What's your deal? What's your whole deal? Group membership. First degree group memberships. Click on that. Expands, and it's part of internet access and domain users. So internet access was the other group that was looking for. Is the guest account active? Hi there. Are you? I think this one we might want to just look up. That looks disabled to me. A little down arrow. Big Diff, thank you for the follow. Yeah, it's disabled. So the question was, is the account active? Nay. How many accounts are a member of the Tier 1? Hey, Volley. We're doing your bread and butter, my friend. We're just doing some basic Active Directory enumeration. We got some Bloodhound going. We're going through this Try Hack Me room that's all about AD enumeration, and we're doing it wrong. Well, we're not doing it wrong. We're not following the instructions. We're not at your level, that's for sure. Let's go look for Tier 1 admins. Group members, 7. Hello. You gotta love it when they name their accounts with their privilege levels right in it. Don't do this. Let's see some Rubius. God, no. Thank you. I think Rubius and Seatbelt, Rubius in particular, they're going to come up in the next room. I'm almost certain. Because I think that's when we start doing, like, ticket manipulation, NTLM relays, things like that. Don't think that's going to be this guy. 7. What is the account lockout duration of the current password policy in minutes?
This is Kaylin with Von Kaiser, and you're listening to Night Ride FM.
This is one we should do on the command line. This is actually one that I'm blanking on how to do. Oh, net account / domain. Right. Of course. And of course we have a shell as a user, so we can just do that. Cool. The lockout duration is 30. I'm so curious. Oh, man. Song is good, but are we going to get DMCA'd? It says it's a Night Ride exclusive, so hopefully not. What is the value of the title attribute of Beth Nolan? Oh, do we have the get AD? We have the AD PowerShell module? Is it just loaded? Yes. I have a legitimate RSAT was installed. I didn't know if that loaded the PowerShell module into the like default path. Yep. Guess it is. Would there be any interest in like a PowerShell intro stream at some point? Like how to get comfortable with PowerShell? Because I've kind of been forced to do it. I don't like it. There are parts of it I actually do really like. But it seems to be a source of frustration for folks. So if there would be interest in kind of doing a PowerShell overview stream, we can do that. Project EP is interested. Stig says yeah 3 times. All right. So there's get AD user. These filters are interesting. Okay, so let me show you this. Get AD user has a ton more information than this. And the easiest way to see it all in one go, just so you understand what kind of a thing you're looking at, is FL, which is short for format list. This is going to expand the PowerShell object into basically every principal thing. Oh, never mind. I guess that's everything you can see from it. My bad. I really thought there was more available. Is it dash property star? That's what it is. Thank you. Yep. Full disclosure, I'm used to working with the Quest version of this more often, which does that by default. But yeah, so as you can see, we get all sorts of stuff, including the distinguished name that I was trying to do before, the CN DAZA. Oh yeah, it's not reversed. CN equals Natasha Howells, OU equals human resources, OU equals people, DC equals ZA, DC equals track, DC equals com. See how each domain component is DC? Maybe adjust enough PowerShell to either be afraid or hooked. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how that goes, right? So, for example, here, I mean, this is going to be a long list, but SAM account name and password last set. So watch this. If we do get AD user, and then we'll do a little bit of querying here. If we're doing enumerations, something like this might be super helpful. We do like a select SAM account name, password last set. Yeah, I need to filter. Thanks. Okay. Now, that's a very large list, obviously. So I'm just going to Control-C that. Thanks, Ginge. But you could imagine that we could filter this out a little bit more and start finding users with old passwords, which perhaps were grandfathered in to a new, stronger password policy. Definitely helpful. I really like working with PowerShell for this. In fact, I've even got to the point now with like Windows events where I'll try not to use the event data viewer if I'm on a single endpoint. Most of my initial parsing through logs will be through PowerShell, and then I'll go get what I need. And yes, there's also get AD group member, get AD object, because there are going to be computers, things like that. So, okay, get win event log. And then I'm going to tell all of you blue teamers about the other thing I found, which is truly incredible. I'll demo it too, since we're talking about it. I didn't do this on Saturday, but we were talking about it. Yeah, win event log. So there's this get Windows event log message. This thing is magical. Let me fire this up. What this does is it makes all of the extra XML data in your Windows event stuff available as data. So, just to show you how it works, get Windows event log message. It's a little bit different, right? So, in terms of options, if we use get Windows event log message, and then it's like log name, Microsoft, Windows, sysmon, operational. Is there not a max events? Yes, there's a max events. We'll do 100. I know I have sysmon installed. Oh, you idiot. That's not an administrative shell. Let's try that again. What? Yes. Come on. Oh, cool. So it's already there. Lovely. I just wanted to make sure that was true. And copy this. And we'll save that as a variable. Why is this happening? Okay. We'll save that to EVTs. Okay. Let's look at the first EVT. You'll see that there's, in addition to the stuff you would usually expect to have from a sysmon log, right? You will also notice that it has this event data object on it. And that is where all the cool data that you want in a sysmon log or any other actual Windows event log is stored, which is inaccessible from get win event. So that little plugin is like it unlocks what you can do with Windows event logs in PowerShell, because you have access to the entirety of the event log without running through the crazy like parse XML pipeline that you'd have to do otherwise. Very handy. All right. Sorry, I forgot that I was on Attack on Tuesday for a second. We're supposed to be compromising a network, not defending it. So let's go get the title for Beth.Nolan. Title is Senior. Seniors! Let's go get Annette Manning's distinguished name. Because one needs to try to make no mistakes, simply wait for their opponent to make mistakes. Husky, get on your face. We'll do get 80 group object for this next one, right? Or get 80 group. Yeah, get 80 group. Identity. Same deal. Properties star. And it was when created 2/24/2022, 10:04 p.m. What is the SID of the Enterprise Admins Group? All right, this is an important piece of information. Object SID right here, 519. What container is used to store deleted AD objects? I actually have no idea. Okay, we'll do this. We'll add the change date here. And then get AD object. Filter when changed is greater than change date, include deleted items. Okay. We're going to do one of these then. This may not be what they're looking for, but that's what I'm doing. I'm looking for any AD object that has a name like deleted. Doesn't like that. So when the built-in filters don't work, we can use PowerShell's own filters, where name, like, yep. Nothing. Let's try like deleted. I think I need a wildcard in there, though. Huh. Funky. What's the hint for this one? Get a domain and review the information. Well, all right. That was something I didn't know. And probably should have. Yeah. Look at that. That's really good. Systems container. Lost and found container. This may be what they're after. It's the lost and found. Unless there's a specific deleted items. Oh, there is. CN equals deleted objects. CN equals za. Okay. Okay. That's cool. So I didn't know that. CN equals deleted objects. There we go. All right. Very neat. Now, you may not have access to this on the endpoint that you compromise, right? It's entirely possible that that tool is not going to be available to you, and you may not have the ability to install it, right? So just be aware that those sorts of PowerShell tools may not be immediately available to you, and that is where, you know, some of these bring your own tools can be a little bit more handy for you. Okay, I want to try it one more time, just because I'm annoying that way. I want to try JExplorer one more time to see if I can bind to this thing. Giving users Active Directory PowerShell module might be suboptimal. You know what? The hang-up? I'm going to say that giving users PowerShell is probably usually a bridge too far. Most users don't require it, and it shouldn't be enabled by default. There's no way it lets me bind anonymously. Yeah, okay. com, and then here we go. So the user password is going to be cn equals Natasha.howls OU equals human resources. OU equals people. I don't know if this is case sensitive. Maybe it is. It won't break SCCM if you do it right. First of all, SCCM can have a network access, the NAA. You can also set up certificate-based trusts for SCCM. You can also set up like programmatic access, I think, for PowerShell rather than access through Explorer, right? Plus, SCCM's gonna die. This is why nobody in their right mind uses LDAP without Active Directory. Oh, but it did work. Look at that. By putting in the full distinguished name, we were able to connect to it. This is very cool. Because, by the way, this will not make as much noise as Bloodhound. Well, Intune got eaten by also Microsoft Endpoint Manager. Look at this. It takes a lot more work, less chatty than LDAP dump. Yeah, because it's actively querying, so it's not doing it as quickly as everything else would be. And so here you look at like your T0, right? You can look at the table editor to see all of the properties. And very often there's going to be stuff in here that isn't supposed to be there. I really like connecting to LDAP this way because, and I don't think I've ever seen anybody demonstrate this. So I'm glad I was able to finally get this going. I don't think I've ever seen anyone use JExplorer or like Apache Directory Explorer, which is the other option, to explore LDAP like this, but it does work. It's only pulling back what it's showing in the right pane. So it paginates a little bit, the hangup, so it'll pull back like 20 per, and as you explore more, it'll go through. What's the difference between this or AD Explorer? Great question. So the real difference is that JExplorer has an upsell called JX Workbench that allows you to like import LDIF files if you want to do writes and stuff. So basically JExplorer is designed to be it's designed to be for Linux LDAP environments what this snap-in is for Windows. Okay, it's supposed to be like a graphical interface to work with LDAP without having to manually edit LDIF files, which sucks. Right? Like import file right here. But both this and Apache Directory Explorer essentially have the same things. I just tend to like JExplorer a little bit better. For one thing, it's built into the Kali repo, which is handy. And like all the stuff you want is in here. SAM account names, SIDs, service principal names. All immediately explorable. Adam879, SQL King, thank you so much for those follows. Right, and as I explore down further, if I go down to human resources, you'll see it'll pull back more resources as I need them. And then the table editor will show me the whole deal. That's it. Okay. But we have Bloodhound up, and so we can start to do fun stuff with the Bloodhound. Curious what they'll have us do with it. We're actually gonna get this room done tonight. No! Did they actually give us the Bloodhound data? Boo. Maybe not. What's the session inject? Bloodhound is the most powerful AD enumeration tool to date. And when it was released in 2016, it changed the AD enumeration landscape forever. Okay, let's settle down. Alright, so we kind of went through all this. We talked about Sharp Hound. We did all this. Did all this. We did all this. Uh-huh. Okay, let's actually do something funny. Oh, does it have the session data? That might be something. So it may have given us the session data, which is something we do want to keep. So the default connection that I pulled, or the default collection did not include session data, because that can take a while, but it is really important. What is there? Containers, domains, containers, domains, GPOs. We'll import those. Okay, so analysis. Let's find... I like to list all curb roastable accounts first. That cannot be right. I guess there are no curb roastable accounts. Any ASREPs? No. Find computers where domain users are local admin. Nothing. Principles with DC sync rights. Ah, there we go. We found some principles with DC sync rights. So, okay. This T0 has DC sync rights. That's unhelpful. Find servers where domain users can RDP. This might be a good one. No data. Find all paths to high-value targets. Just bupkis here. What does it want us to look for? Let's search for our AD account. Okay, we can do that. Natasha Howells. So, yeah, and this is actually something we should do anyway. Natasha Howells. First thing is, we're going to mark this as owned. And then, shortest, find shortest path from owned principles. Shortest path to domain admin from owned principles. Nothing. What is the shortest path to domain admin? Vagrant. Of course. Okay, we kind of already did this. Was the room enumerate? Yes. Start node, and our end node will be the tier 1 admins. So we're going to look for a way to get to tier 1. Set as ending node. Shortest paths to hear from owned. None. We might have to turn on different edge filters, I guess. It didn't even have any sessions. Hold on a second. Something went terribly wrong here. I don't think it does make a difference, but I don't think I am. Although, see, now okay, now we have users, groups, GPOs. Still no sessions, which is fine. So what is going on? It's also supposed to be updated. Start node would be our 80 and tier 1 script as administrative users. Okay, so there should be a session we have here. But weirdly, it didn't appear to have any sessions. You know what? Let's run Bloodhound again real quick. And we're grabbing everything. So the difference here is I'm using the -C all for collection method, as opposed to the defaults. Now this will grab sessions, assuming they exist. But what's messed up is it theoretically gave me them, right? But unless it was in the computers OU. Let's upload this data again. We're going to grab these. That's much bigger than their computers. So we'll grab their GPOs and containers and OUs. But everything else we're keeping. Computers, domains, groups, and users. Okay. Still no sessions, interestingly. I think that we are missing data, but I think it's because they forgot to give us the data. Unless there's something I missed in the download. But it said it was called session inject, and insanely there were no sessions. Yeah. All right, well, whatever. What command can be used to execute sharphound and request that it recovers session information only from the domain? That. Apart from the KRB TGT account, how many other accounts are potentially curb roastable? Ooh. Hey, but look, we actually do have Kerberoastable accounts now. Service AV, service LDAP, service file copy, service MDT. So 1, 2, 3, 4, other than Curb TGT. So at least we have an answer there. How many machines do members of the Tier 1 admins group have administrative access to? So we're going to go look for Tier 1. Okay. Oops. That would be very large. C9 Eclipse, thank you for the follow. We are asking for how many machines to have administrative access to. Here we go. So we're admin to 2 computers. Right here. How many users are members of the Tier 2 admin group? Turn pathfinding off and just look for Tier 2 admins. Direct members, 15. There they be. And that is how we use Bloodhound. Now, the part that we were missing, right, is the session data, which would tell us, and that's honestly easier to get from on the system, I think, with Sharphound. But if you run it, run it carefully, because that's a great way to get caught as a red teamer. If you run it in my environment, I will catch you. I will catch you, first of all, because I'll see if you're running it, if you're going to run the file without any modifications. I'll just catch that, but also I will catch the LDAP queries. What are some things you can do if you do not grab session data? So session data is interesting for session hijacking, but you're also looking for like misconfigurations. So for example, right, Tier 2 admins, the Kerberoastable is, I think, the easiest one, right? List all Kerberoastable accounts. Like right away, this is the first thing that I'm in here looking at. Like, oh, okay, this is interesting. As a matter of fact, right after this, I would be taking a look at, we can get out of Bloodhound again, right? I would get user SPNs, natasha.howells at za.tryhackme.com. I'll put marshmallows.txt. Oh, right. za.tryhackme.com/. Ooh. I'll say the Bloodhound isn't often detected if you keep the queries to the DC. Do you have different experiences? I don't. This is a little bit of like blue team secret sauce, but whatever. You're right, and Al is right that is the case. Here's how to fix that problem. You need to baseline your LDAP traffic in your environment to the DCs. And then you need to analyze it statistically and you need to have like a summary alert for like a minute, basically. And you need to have an alert when those LDAP queries, depending on the size of your environment. But if the rate bumps by, like, and do testing for this, but something like 1 or like 0.8 to 1.5 sigmas off your difference, right? You figure out your standard deviation, and then off of that, you'll find it, because there will just be too many queries. Yeah, user entity behavior analytics will do it for you. I'm telling you the way to do it for free, or with tools that are in your possession, probably, with the power of math. You need to have baselining on your traffic, and then you need to be looking for statistical variance on that traffic. And that's like the trick for volumetric analysis, period. If your volumetric analysis is just like, there was a spike, that's not good enough. You need to know quantitatively what was the nature of the spike. And you also need good people who want to math, or you need tools that have those detections built in. Like, for example, like I'm literally telling you how AC Hunter and Rita look for beaconing data, right? They're looking for, it looks for beaconing data by grouping types of traffic from hosts in a certain time window. And if there's regularity within a certain tolerance, then it alerts on a beacon. That's just stats. Once again, data science is the next frontier in blue team skills. Don't know why I couldn't bind here. Invalid credentials. Did I not type the password correctly? Fast Fourier transform. That can help. Yep. Natasha.house. Okay, guess I can't get SPNs with that. But that's fine. That would be like the first thing that I would try. And then I would see, is there a short path from Kerberostable users to DA? No. All right, so what do we have here? So enterprise key admins, right? So enterprise key admins. I might look at this and say, okay, who's in there? Nobody. What about enterprise key admins? Still nobody. What about account operators? This is not a super realistic environment. Like, none of these are filled. Enterprise. There's one direct member who is administrator. And there's an unrolled member of denied. Replication group. Here we go. Denied RODC replication group. Direct members. Sir publishers. Group policy creator owners. Direct members. Read only. Nope, 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 nope. Nothing special in here. But this navigation of potential misconfigurations is what you're looking for. And the more data, the better. Despite it having 2,000 users, the fact that there's not a whole lot of interaction going on between them is why this doesn't really feel that real in terms of pathing. But yeah, okay, I think that's going to do it for tonight and enumerating Active Directory. We did some PowerShell. We did some basic command line. I really like PowerShell enumeration, honestly. And we'll figure out a way to do some more PowerShell soon. Maybe tomorrow if I'm feeling up to it. And we will not stop until we are finished with these. I think there's 4 of them, right? There's... How about order newest? So we've done exploit. I thought we did exploiting Active Directory. Apparently not. No, we've done breaching and enumerating. And then the next 2 that we need to do are exploiting Active Directory and persisting Active Directory. And those are super important. So we will continue this until we finish these. I want to get better, as good as I can with Active Directory stuff. Do you recommend any other AD resources other than from Try Hack Me? There have been a couple of good Hack the Box boxes about them. Oh, yes, I do. Sorry, I totally blanked on it, but actually the best one that I know of, and not just because he's a friend, but please tell me I got that right. I don't think I did. Oh no, I did do it right. Yeah. The best one by far is movement, pivoting, and persistence from Joe Helly. Yeah. Yeah, Joe's course is fantastic. Yeah, IT Pro TV is good. And yes, I have my own lab where we do a lot of stuff. But in terms of really learning how to do this as a pen tester, if that's your focus, this is a great way to do it. Defending Active Directory. Oh, DeCroyson, thank you so much for those links. Defending Active Directory is a little bit harder to come by. And in fact, stay tuned, because that's what we're trying to do here, is trying to figure out all the great ways to defend against this stuff and how to prevent you from making bad mistakes in Active Directory. So we are trying to do attack in service of defense here on this channel, and of course on Saturdays we do blue team specifically. But I think that's going to do it for tonight. So let's see what's going on the old hack list. Spicy is streaming. So the TV rating is about to increase here from like TV PG to TV 17 or whatever. But if you don't know about the hack list, we are Legion, we InfoSec streamers. There are a lot of great folks on there. Go check them out. Give them a follow if you like. And we're going to go raid Spicy and continue the stream love in InfoSec here tonight. I will be back tomorrow doing some programming. And Saturdays, of course, we do blue team stuff. Until next time, friends, please be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and happy hacking. We'll see you next time.